Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. I'm assuming you can hear me. I'm assuming you can see me. And we're moving on. All right, so, hello. I'm really excited to be here today. I feel like it's been... I know we've been doing these lately like twice a month, but it feels like it's been so much longer. And my hair is so long. Look, I wore it down for you guys today. And I flat ironed it. Make it all pretty for you. I decided to grow out my bangs, I think. I'm thinking about growing them out, which means I'll grow them out while I contemplate what to actually do. Thank you. I like my sweater. I bought it as an afterthought. We were walking through Target, and it was like 40% off. And I was in a hurry, and I was walking, and I stopped, and I backed up, and I was like, I'll take that. And then I kept on. And it is so warm. I love it. Hello, everyone. I was running around late as usual, and I didn't get to say hi to everybody in chat as they were coming in. So, hello, hello, hello. Some of you guys are talking about having done the painting loose exercises in the blog, so that's exciting. I would like to hear your experiences with that. You know, whether you think it's helpful to you or not, you know, whatever. Let me know. I'm really interested to hear how that's gone for you. You know, I have a bigger mess around here than normal. I've been so busy. So no, I have not touched our painting from the last Live Directed because I'm on break, but I'm not on vacation. Trust me. And I always underestimate how much there is to do at the end of the year. So I had to do, like, at the last minute, I had to do an inventory count of all of my paintbrushes yesterday. And so that's what all these boxes are. These are the boxes that my paintbrushes come in when I order them. So I have boxes of those everywhere. So yeah, it's been really seriously busy over here. Someone mentioned, I think Pat mentioned, that in Patreon that she couldn't get to the post about the jam session, that it was locked. So I didn't realize that you guys would even see that. So let me explain that to you. You actually don't need that post. All of the information that's in there is the exact same information that's in the post where you got this link. It's just basically saying, hey, jam session. The reason you can't see it is because I only posted it to the $5 people, because I had already posted it to you guys, and I didn't want to spam you and have you be like, why are there 2 posts about this? So that's what that is. I made the post to you guys first about the jam session and this, and then I had to make a post to the $5 people to let them know that the jam session was happening today. The reason that it's like that now is, remember when I told you to make sure that you're signed into Patreon and in the correct tier? Because Patreon has changed it now so that I can either post to everybody or to individual tiers. And so if you're like paying $15 a month but you're in the $5 tier, you would have seen the jam session post, but not the post to get to this one. So anyway, that's why. So you may see posts like that are locked from time to time. You guys being in the $15 level, you get everything. So if there's a post for the $1 people and it's locked, trust me, you already have that information. I'm not giving them anything that you're not getting. But they are seeing posts that I'm giving to you that they're not getting. So anyway, that's what that is. So I'm very chatty today, apparently. I don't even know if my camera is working. I hooked it up so we could do some painting. Ah, it is working. Okay. I decided today to go with one of these little 6x6s. Partially because I didn't want to get caught into a 3-parter right now. I like that we did that 3-part painting, but right at this moment, Katrina likes Chatty Jane. It's only endearing for so long, Katrina. How was camping? It was so cold. So we were having kind of a heat wave here. it was like at our house, it was like 45, which is insane for this time of year. So we're like, let's go camping. Well, we get out to, there's an island in the Great Salt Lake called Antelope Island. It's not very far from where we live, about 20 minutes. And so we said, we're going to go camping on the island. It's right by home. If anything, happens, we're just right there by home. So we get out there, and I didn't realize it's like 10 degrees colder on the island than it is at home. So it was not 45 degrees on the island. It was very, very cold. But, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we are actually going camping again tomorrow. So we have the camping bug. But right now here it is, I think it's 27 degrees outside right now. But we're not going back to the island because it would be even colder. So we're going to southern Utah. It will be in the 40s there for sure. What?
24.
He said it's 24, but his phone is wrong. It also said it was 7 degrees outside this morning, and it was 17. Let's see. My phone says 27. We've been arguing about what the temperature is all day. Katrina says, this is our first live directed. Is it a new painting each week? It's different, Katrina. We do this once to twice a month, and usually we do something different each month or each time we get together, but the last 3 times we worked on the same painting. We work on the abstract on another live directed. Shannon, I think I told you on the last one that I was going to go through with my little brush and just kind of fill in all the little specks. And I don't even know where it is. I had to move it. It's around here. I would fill in all the little specks, and I would record that and upload that to you. Because we talked about doing that as kind of a meditative process, not looking at the overall image, but looking at just kind of watching how the little spaces fill in and just enjoying that process. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And then I think we're going to call that one done. I think we're going to, excuse me, hiccup. We're going to retire that one. And so today we are going to do a new one. Let's just do a little one so we can finish it in one sitting. If you want to paint along, you are more than welcome to. Sometimes people do, sometimes not. Sometimes people just hang out. Sometimes they do it at another time. So you do it however you want to do it. This is completely free form. It is 100% free form, both for me and for you. At the risk of sounding like one of those, I'm okay, you're okay hippies, there really is no right and there is no wrong. It's, whatever you need to get out of this is perfectly okay. Even if that's just getting together, hanging out, and chatting with everybody. That's okay too. All right, so if you have never been to one of these before, basically I ask you for some suggestions. You give me those suggestions, and then we start painting. So I've got this is a 6x6, a little 6x6 canvas. And I do have all of my brushes. It's just my angle brush was wet, so I didn't want to put it in my jar. Let's first decide what kind of a painting are we going to do today, guys. Sorry, my voice is a little, when it's really cold, my voice gets really raspy. What kind of a painting are we going to do today? Are we going to do like a landscape? Are we going to do abstract? Let's skip abstract today. We did abstract the last 3 times. So landscape, a still life, maybe an abstract portrait. Carrie's going to get real specific there. So start throwing out ideas. And I'm going to take a sip of tea so I don't sound like a box of rocks, like scooting across the floor. Yes, a box of rocks. Lots of still life. Carrie, ha ha. I had a feeling you had ulterior motives for asking that. I do. I sound like a bunch of gravel. I apologize, you guys. I sound like I've been smoking like packs and packs. It's only been one pack. Just kidding. I don't smoke. I just sound like it. Still Life, Champagne, so that kind of goes with the New Year's theme that Sherelle mentioned, and Impressionist. A Celestial Landscape. This is Deb's sighting with Carrie. Spatula Mountains. I think we had Still Life more than anything else. Let's see. What kind of color should we use for the underpainting? You guys know I'm not afraid of crazy colors, so. Impressionistic portrait. I don't know if I'm that good at portraits to do impressionist. All of my portraits end up abstract. That's why I suggested abstract. Purple. Another purple. Magenta, orange, yellow. You guys know all of my favorite colors, don't you? Neon green. Another green. Carrie's all about the black underpainting. Let's see. I think we've done purple the last... We did purple quite a few times. Magenta, orange, yellow, neon green. Whatever it is, let's end up doing it really loose, since that's what we were kind of talking about, you know, with the blog post and everything. Let's work loose. I don't have hookers, and I don't even think they make hookers in heavy body, and I don't have it in basics. And I don't really buy green, so the only green I have, I've got some phthalo green, which I really only use for mixing. And I've got some of that vivid lime green that I told you that I hate. Because it's so transparent and it's just not as fun as I thought it would be. Other than that, I just mix my own. Let's see. Whoops. Ooh, I know what color I'm going to use for underpainting. Somebody said orange. Who said orange? They do make a heavy body hookers? Well, oh, they do, huh? Because doesn't it come in different shades, kind of like the phthalo? Like a green and a yellow shade, or a blue and a yellow shade? I'm looking for a specific color. Somebody said orange. So that's what we're going to go with. I'm going to use an orange I don't get to use very often. Oh, there it is. I'm not sadly lacking in greens. I don't care for tube green. If I'm going to use green, like in a landscape, if it comes out of a tube, I just feel... Vince put music on. It sounded like somebody screaming in my house. I feel like green that comes out of a tube looks really phony for landscapes. That's just how I feel about it. So I prefer to mix my own green. All right. So we're going to do an underpainting of... That's right. Quinacridone Burnt Orange. What? Not a color I get to use very often. I think I have a handful of paintings I've been working on that I actually started recording this morning. And I'm pretty sure one of them has the Quin Burnt Orange in it. Oh, in fact, the one I started recording today has the Quin Burnt Orange in it. This color, if you haven't tried this color yet, thank you, Deb, for highly recommending it. Look at that color. It is such a luscious color. And trust me when I say that this color, if you like mixing like I do, and those of you who have been to these a time or two, you know how I feel about mixing colors. So if you like mixing colors, you need this color. You have to have it. I have not found a color yet that I don't like how it mixes with it. Mix it with purple, it's delicious. Mix it with red, any color of red, you know, from quinacridone to cadmium red. Gorgeous. Yellow, wonderful. Phthalo, you get a really rich chromatic black. And you mix it with a little bit of phthalo. I haven't mixed it with ultramarine. I bet we'd get a really nice kind of like a slate or just a really neutrally looking gray, I bet. Mixing it with ultramarine. Oh, a little bit of phthalo green mixed in with it. This color should be required in every palette. It's just such a fun color. If you're not, you know, like totally into orange like I am, it's, you know, one of my very favorite colors, then you might overlook this color and be like, orange. But this is a great color to have and mix, and yeah, it's really good. Okay, so we are going to let that dry for a couple of minutes, and let's look and see what we have going on. They are expensive, Shannon. Let me tell you guys, please don't buy heavy body paint from Michaels for full price. I will not go buy a tube of paint at Michaels unless I have a 50% off coupon on all I need is one tube of paint. Do not go buy them full price at Michaels. They're ridiculously expensive. If you even go to Hobby Lobby, if you have to buy it like without a sale, a tube of heavy body paint is several dollars cheaper at Hobby Lobby regular price than it is at Michaels. Otherwise, you know, look on Amazon. A lot of times it's cheaper on Amazon. If you can get it from Blick or Jerry's, get it from there. It's going to be so much cheaper. Don't buy it at Michael's for full price. Period. Don't do it, guys. I did have to go to Michael's the other day and buy a tube of paint. And before I even left the house, I had to make sure that I had a 50% off coupon because I was not about to spend full price at Michael's. Yeah, Hobby Lobby usually has a 40% off coupon all the time off of one item. So you're going to get a much better price that way. Don't feel bad, Gretchen. They do that to themselves. Katrina, order it online. Seriously. It's ridiculously expensive. I want to say a tube this size, just the small tube. I went to Michael's and they didn't have it or they were out of it, something. And I went to Hobby Lobby and it was $4 cheaper, regular price at Hobby Lobby. So Michael's is ridiculously expensive. Excuse me, guys. My throat is so dry. I've got to get this to dry. So I'm kind of at a loss now. We have several people saying abstract portraits. We have several people saying still life. $12 on Amazon. Check on dickblick.com. I bet it's cheaper there. It does take a month and a half. Maybe not a month and a half, but it takes a long time to get an order from Dick Blick, but but it's a lot cheaper. Still life is fine. Carrie wants to tip the scale with another vote for a still life. Sure, you can do that. So I think what I'm going to do, if we're going to do still life, I'm not going to worry about that being perfectly dry. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to play with composition and just see what kind of elements come out while I'm playing with composition, rather than saying, okay, I'm going to paint a vase and a flower and, you know, that kind of thing. So let me just get a couple colors out. What colors should I use, guys? What colors do you think would go good there? I'm really quite partial to deep violet with this color. Where is it? There's a tiny squirt left in there. No flowers. All right. No flowers. I'm good with that because flowers are not really my jam. Once in a while I can knock out some decent flowers, but I would prefer not to paint flowers on the reg. Some aqua. And let's get some black. I'm going to pull a little bit of phthalo, just in case. Phthalo green. I just had it in my hand. Now it's gone. Larry's talking to me. I hope Larry's feeling better. Alright. I just grabbed a couple of colors. I'm going to leave my huge Buxo paint out because I'm probably going to dig through it again. I hope everybody had good holidays, nice Christmas, or whatever it is that you celebrate. Does anybody have any good plans for New Year's? We will be camping. Probably freezing a little bit, but we'll be camping for New Year's. Alright, I'm going to start with black. Because I'm going to show you kind of one of the things that I like to do with when I'm just kind of finding a composition. So remember, guys, we've talked about it a lot. The rule of thirds, right? So rule of thirds says if you draw a line like that and like that, that breaks your canvas into 3 equal portions. And then from there, you draw a line, move paint, draw a line, come on, get out of my way, like there, and there to separate it into 3 equal portions the other way. Please stay there. I'm not going to, are you? Stupid thing. Anyway, you understand what I'm saying. Let's pretend that it's staying there. Then that's breaking the canvas evenly into thirds, both horizontally and vertically. Where these lines cross is points of interest. So right here, right here, right here, and right here. Those are kind of the most interesting areas. So if we're going to do like a still life, we don't want to take, let's just say we're doing an apple, just for argument's sake. We don't want to stick the apple just right there in the center. It's not going to be interesting. You know, when you look at it, it will kind of make you feel uncomfortable. But also, your eye automatically goes to the middle anyway. And it'll be like, I saw the apple, and now I'm moving on to the next thing. But if it's kind of like off to the side, let's say it kind of occupies this area here, or even occupies, you know, like that, then that's a little bit more interesting because your eye automatically comes to here. but it has to move around to see all the different bits, and you can kind of trap the viewer in the painting, which sounds creepy, I realize that. Kind of trap them so that they kind of get stuck in a cycle of looking around rather than, I saw it, I left. So always consider where your third lines are before you decide on a composition. And ultimately, you may decide to slap your subject square in the middle if, you know, that suits your purpose, and that's perfectly fine. But I always start by deciding, okay, what is going to be my most interesting, you know, little section that I want to kind of focus on putting my subject. So that's what I start with. No plans and parties. I love New Year's. It's one of my favorites. I used to always stay up late anyway, and so it wasn't like that big of a deal. And now I'm seriously in bed by like 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock sometimes. I'm so old. So it'll be interesting to see if I can stay up this year. Let's see. I'm going to use my number 8 filbert. Yeah, my old puffy, scary number 8 filbert that I just love. And now that I know where my little quadrants are, I'm going to kind of start just scribbling in those areas to see what I like the best. I know that scribbling a lot of times for you guys can be intimidating because you're like, that's just a mess. How am I going to be able to cover that? You can cover it. It's not a big deal. I have a little bit of black. I'm just going to pull a tiny bit because I don't want to make heavy black lines. I just want to use this almost like a pencil. So let's see, I've got like a third line in here. Kind of moves up into this area. That's where my other third quadrant is. See how I've kind of marked out where those two are? I'm trying to decide which one I like better. I don't typically have my subject be up in one of these top ones. But I mean, I could. That's especially if you're going to do like a vase with a flower. So your flower is probably going to be your subject, so it would be up here. And it doesn't have to be exact. You know, if you decide, okay, I want my subject to be like right here, let's say. But you don't actually want it that close. You want it more like right here. I think that that's perfectly fine. Again, it's deciding what is the closest to where you want it, and then you can, you know, make your own adjustments from there. Uh-oh, my freaking carryout was scribbling. He is totally frazzled. And you know what? I have no plans on getting rid of him anytime soon. I love him. And the weirder, the more puffy he gets, the more I like him and the more I use him. Okay, I think I like my subject being right here. Kind of, it's actually not on the 1/3 mark, so I would say my 1/3 mark is probably right about here. So it's off of that a little bit, and I'm okay with that. I have a little bit of an idea. So let's keep finding that. I'm actually going to bring, I think I'm going to bring the plane down a little. So again, that's lower than my 3rd mark, because that's about my 3rd mark. So we're going to bring that down. I have an idea. I know you guys are like, what are you doing? When I'm painting for myself, a lot of times, especially if I'm not painting from an image, if I'm just kind of painting out of the top of my head, this is really how I start out. A lot of times I'll have a canvas that looks like this. You guys have seen a little bit of that in like the still life I did with the blue vase and the orange. This is exactly how that one started out for me when I did it the first time. Alright, so that's my composition, and I've got my subject kind of roughed out. So, quarter-inch angle looks like it's had 19 nervous breakdowns. That's so funny. I don't use that one very often. What do you use it for the most, Deb? Yeah, Sherelle, that's... I end up destroying angle brushes pretty quick because of that. I push on them and then they start to puff out. The 1/2 inches are back in stock, by the way. They were out of stock, but they are back. You know what? Let's get a little more orange. I'm gonna get a little phthalo green. So let's mix phthalo green with this orange and see what happens. Oh, shading with it. Is it a big tree? That's not what I have in mind, but it could be, huh? Looks like we've kind of got some little distant bushes or something going on there, but it's not what I started with. All right, we get some white. Oh, guys, I'm excited. I just put in another order for some Fredrix canvases. Because I'm almost out of my 12 by 16s, and you know, since I have a sponsorship and they're like, tell us what you want and we'll send it to you. So I got some of the canvas paper pads, and so we're going to try those out. And they have canvas paper specifically for watercolor, so I asked for that too, so we're going to see how that goes. Deb's back on the figures with the arms raised over their heads, like in the last one. Shannon, yeah, I mean, techniques, you know, like the way that I block this out, that's a technique. Or, you know, the way I show you how to paint a raindrop, that's a technique. I mean, techniques are one thing, and it's how you use the techniques. So, yeah. I mean, as long as you're not like copying an image, you know, it's an image that you are creating, then it's original. Techniques are, you know, I can teach you how to do a technique, but ultimately you're going to do it however you interpret that technique. Looks like a lantern. I would say that's probably a little bit closer. Sorry, man, I really need that tea. It's making my throat feel better. Okay, I'm going to stick with my little ugly filbert, and I have some phthalo green. Just going to pull a little bit of that and some of this orange. Let's see what happened there with those two colors. Such a nice color. Such a rich color. See, I would use that. I would use that green in a landscape, but not phthalo green straight out of the tube. Not very often. I'm going to grab just a hint of white. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? Kind of a green-gray. I'm going to darken it a little. That was a little lighter than I wanted. I need some matte medium. Just because I like to use matte medium. Okay, let's find the shape here just a little bit more. This is my subject. So I'm not going to pop the plate into your face every time. I'm just mixing up a darker version of that green-orange. I'm being really loose, kind of like I was telling you. I'm not worried about going outside of the lines. I'm not quite being as dramatic with the put it down and leave it alone as I was in that video, but I'm using, you know, the same basic. I'm just kind of saying I just picked up a tiny hint of white. I'm just saying I want it essentially lighter right there. So that's really about all I'm going to do. Sorry guys, I know that glares. Let's see if I can put something under it. Keep it popped up. Let me put a tube of paint under there. That's a little bit better. Oh, good. I got Katrina on the matte medium bandwagon. Phthalo green never works for you. What does it do, Gretchen? It is a candle and a puddle of wax. That is exactly what I saw. Hello, Atra. I'm glad you could pop in for a minute. Okay, so that is basically, let's just give the little puddle down here some life, because right now it just looks like a skirt. The candle maybe has a skirt. And that's okay. But now it's got a little puddle of wax kind of running down and building up there. Not getting too crazy with the details, just getting it on there so I remember where it is so I can come back to it. That's too late. Now we can move on to like filling in the basics of the wall and the table. I really like that color. It's better than a Rorschach test. Awesome. It can't be a lone rock in Utah. Oh, but, interesting, because we're going to southern Utah, with all the red rocks. We're not going to Zion, but everything down there pretty much looks like that, with the red rocks. And so maybe that's why I picked this color. You know what? I have a color I haven't used yet. Excuse me. That tea is making me, it's like really spicy. It's peppermint tea, but it's a stronger one than I'm used to, and so it makes my throat really cold, which is so good. Much needed right now. Oh yeah, we talked about this color before, but I still haven't used it. This parchment. So it's a little different from it is a little bit different from unbleached, and I'll show you. But I would say that you'd use it in a similar way to unbleached. It's just that unbleached is going to be quite warm, where parchment is quite cool. Especially next to unbleached, which is that parchment almost appears a little bit green. See that? So I have this parchment color that I haven't used. So I'm going to try that. Let's see what happens there. And I think I'm going to pop out a bit of Payne's Gray. See how that works with the parchment. It looks like plaster or something. It's got a really interesting color. So yeah, let's mix that with some Payne's Gray, because that seems like it would be a really beautiful color combination to me. It might be a little bit too much gray with that kind of chromatic gray that we got with the green and the orange, but hey man, if you don't experiment, you'll never know, right? And if it doesn't work out, you do something different next time. A cowboy boot. I don't do cowboy boots. Alright. So, I've got this parchment and some Payne's Gray. And I got a little parchment. That's really nice. It's very, very soft. The parchment really brings out a lot of the blue in the Payne's Gray. Yeah, I think you can see that. I can see that on the screen. That brings out a lot of blue in the Payne's Gray. So, where do I want it to be the darkest? I think over here, I'm just going to kind of start scribbling it in. I'm using my brush flat, so, you know, where I just kind of, I'm holding it about like that and just letting it press flat onto the canvas. This is kind of similar to how we did the sky and the scarecrow video. You know how I just kind of scrubbed it on and let some of that underpainting show. I like that. More filbert abuse. Exactly. It is kind of smoky and ethereal, isn't it? Yeah, that parchment really kicks the ultramarine into high gear in that Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray is such an interesting color. You know, depending on how you're using it, it can look like black. It can look very, very blue. It's really an interesting color. I think it is also looking quite blue because of the orange background. You know, just that orange is kind of calling the contrast of the cool color. Just kind of cutting into there a bit. Not being real specific. Scribbling just like in the Paint Loose video. Just do some scribbling. You can fix anything. So, you know, if you excuse me, if you scribble and you cover something too much, you can always bring it back. And if you end up accidentally dragging a little bit of that color out, so let's say that these two colors are so different, that maybe this is a bright blue. Let's just say the candle's bright blue. And I'm going along doing this, and I grab a hint of it and kind of drag that into the wall. I wouldn't worry about it. I know that some of you would be like, oh no. But I wouldn't worry about it, because when objects, even if you're not really aware of it, you know, even if you are aware of it and you're like, I don't see it, objects really do kind of reflect each other. You know, if you, like in my house, because all of my rooms are painted different, very bright colors, as you can tell with my purple wall in here. That purple, whether I notice it or not, the purple reflects onto the other colors in my room. And, you know, likewise, like the color of my couch reflects onto my purple wall. So if I pulled a hint of the blue, you know, assuming this candle were blue, if I pulled a hint of that into the wall, I wouldn't worry about it, because naturally that element would be reflecting on the wall anyway. Likewise, the gray of the wall may be reflecting on the candle somewhere. So I think the more that you can allow acceptance of things like that when they happen, the happier that you'll ultimately be while you're painting, because that'll just be one less thing to stress over, right? But also, you'll end up working looser, and I think overall you'll end up being happier with your paintings. I like that wall. I like that wall a lot. Let me see if I've missed anything. Yes, Carrie just bought her first tube of Payne's Gray. Yes. Yeah, it does depend on the brand, like Eileen said. Cindy, I was hoping Cindy would be here today. Cindy was using the golden Payne's Gray, and it is so blue. It's very, very blue. I mean, compared to the Liquitex one, the Liquitex one is like a neutral black-gray color compared to the golden. So yeah, it really does. And even in watercolor, I have one that's really close to this type of a color, and I have another one that's just blue, blue, blue. So it depends on which brand you're using. Yes, scribbling is my kind of painting too. I love it. Oh, do you use parchment, Gretchen? Tell me how you use parchment. What are your favorite colors to mix it with? Leave the candle black. Well, we gotta get some light on it. Yeah, Payne's Gray and Mars Black are really interesting to use together. They really are. Thank you, Cheryl. Yeah, I do like I like the wall a lot. What do we do with the... You know what? Let's do this. This will be interesting. I mean, maybe it will turn out to be awful. Maybe we'll do it and we'll be like, wish we hadn't done that. But you don't know until you do it. And I'm not afraid. So, let's just see what happens. Oh, somebody's at my door. Let's see what happens if we use... I was hoping that was Vince opening the door and not some rando walking into my house. I'm going to use Payne's Gray and unbleached titanium for the ground. So we'll get to see side by side how parchment and Payne's Gray, or parchment and unbleached, are different in a practical use. Ukulele socks? I just bought a ukulele. Well, I bought a ukulele like a month ago, and apparently it's coming from China and it's still not here. But, parchment with Payne's Gray, nice. Oh, the Blick brand of Payne's Gray. Interesting. Okay, so, for the ground, I've got unbleached and Payne's Gray. So let's see. Already, this looks more neutral. More of a neutral gray, or this is more of a blue. So let's see. I think I need matte medium. Yeah, the difference is subtle. It's a very subtle difference. But, you know, when you're doing... Sometimes when you're working loose and trying to use a limited color palette, a subtle difference is all you need to make a huge impact. You know, if you're working loose with a limited color palette, you may not want to... you know, drastically change from the wall to the floor in order to make it look different, because it might make it too busy, or, you know, whatever. Just, it would amp up the complexity of the painting, especially if you want a very simple painting. So just very subtly making color changes might be all you need. I think on the screen, hang on, I gotta pick it up for just a second because there's a glare there. I'm just trying to get my, the line. There. I had one side that was up way high and one side that was down way low. So the color change is very subtle. But then also notice I kind of altered. I have dark here, and so I lightened it a little bit there, just, you know, where the planes change, because that helps too. I don't know, I don't feel like, I mean, it's definitely a difference, but what do you guys think about the difference? Do you think it's a huge difference, or do you think it's... The orange was really nice. Katrina misses the orange, but you can still see it. And the orange, even if you can't like see it, that orange is impacting the overall color of this painting. Let's jump away from here real quick because that stupid glare that I can never control. Let's go back to here. Everybody wants the orange back. Guys, don't make me feel bad. I loved the orange too, but I really love what it's doing in the underpainting here. So, can you see the orange? Clearly this would not be a completed painting. But look at how, I mean, obviously we can see it around the edge of the candle there really well. But look at how it's warming up. Even, like, look, right there, right in front of my finger, you can see a hint of that orange. And this would otherwise be a very cool, almost a cold painting. You know, it feels like very cold concrete or, you know, slate or whatever. But with that little bit of orange, it is just warming it up a little bit. Yeah, you can see it better held up. Man, you guys are really mad at me for taking that orange away. Yikes. Sorry. You guys have never yelled at me so much. Let's see. I think we need to let it dry for a few because it's all pretty wet. One thing with you're not a fan of orange unless it's a rock and not a candle. One thing that you want to keep in mind with underpainting, because I heard somebody yell at me and say to make the candle orange. It's probably Eileen. She's always yelling at me. Be aware of what color your underpainting is. If your underpainting is, we'll just say orange. You know, we'll use this as an example. And then you make your subject that same color, it's going to disappear. It's really going to disappear into it's going to look flat. Everything else is going to be kind of dynamic and kind of standing up off of it. You guys should be developing confidence in your choices, Pat, and I appreciate it. So if I were to, let's say, make this candle that orange color again, even with shadows and highlights and all that, it's going to sink into that underpainting and it's going to appear flat, where the wall is really kind of shooting off of the underpainting because it's got the difference in value, it's got the difference in hue, saturation, all of that. So there's a good vibration between those two colors. But if the candle were the same as the underpainting, it would be flat and really kind of uninteresting. And actually, with the Van Gogh painting that I did not too long ago with the almond, remember I did the underpainting, I think I did the underpainting with the pink, and I didn't want to do that because, you know, the book was the same color, and I was like, well, the book is going to be kind of flat, and it did end up being flatter than I wanted. I really wanted the underpainting for the book to be the green, but then the wall was green, and the pink worked the best under the wall, so I ended up going with the pink. But, yeah, ultimately I wasn't happy with the way that book looked because the underpainting was the same color as the book. Katrina says, it's all right, she guesses. Thanks. But you guys are free to take everything we're doing here and do that, you know? If you want to experiment and see how does that orange look for this or for that, or, you know, what if I did these color combinations, whatever. Do that. Please feel confident to do that. Good job, Gretchen. Excuse me, guys. I seriously feel like I'm gonna like herniate a vocal cord or something. I don't know. I was gonna say something. I can't remember what I was gonna say. But I really like the way that underpainting is showing through the wall. Yeah, you can't see it real strongly here, but remember in the Scarecrow painting how the sky looked really dynamic with that kind of orange underpainting, and then the really neutrally colors kind of scribbled on the top of it. I'm just taking a little bit more of this parchment with a hint of the Payne's Gray in it, and just kind of adding a little bit of texture into the light here, so it can almost look like light being cast off of the candle once we get it lit. And I'm painting on my printer, which is okay. I'm using the edge of my filbert, not flat, just the edge, which is really how this poor filbert got destroyed in the first place. I mean, he didn't get destroyed, he got made perfect. Now he's perfect brush. This is the brush that I destroyed during the 30 days in 2017. In the 30 days, this was the brush I used in almost every single painting, and that's when I really started doing a lot of scribbling. This is that exact same brush. I have not replaced it. And it just gets worse and worse, and the worse it gets, the more I love it. Deb, have you mixed the Quinn Burnt Orange with the Deep Violet? It's such a beautiful color. In fact, that same mixture, I'll show you real quick, that same mixture is in the painting that I was working on today, that I started recording today. So I'm just going to mix some orange and some Deep Violet together, and it's just such a rich color. So that's the orange Deep Violet mixture. It's so beautiful. It's really a fun color to mix. Mix it with all of the things. Alright, guys. Still letting this dry a little bit. Let me... Yeah, the Cad Red and Deep Violet. Oh, the Cad Orange Deep Violet. Yeah. Deep Violet is such a good color to mix with any warm color. I haven't found a warm color that it doesn't mix well with. Yellow, everything. What can you mix to simulate the Quinn Burnt Orange? I mean, you probably could, but it's going to be such a... You're going to have to work for it. I would say if I were trying to mix it, I would probably start with some... What is it? One of the siennas. Burnt sienna? I always get their names mixed up. The really red one. With a little bit of quinacridone and a little bit of cadmium orange. Is that the color I'm thinking of? And I feel like you might get kind of close. In fact, we can try that real quick. Yeah, burnt sienna. It's going to be different in opacity because cadmium orange is more opaque. So the quinacridone burnt orange is very transparent. Let's see, what do I have over here? Do I have a junk canvas? I do. Okay. Let's move this. Okay. Let's see if we can mix this color pretty close. I'm going to grab, this is the quinacridone burnt orange. And we'll see how close we can get to it, okay? Yeah, I think the orange could be good under like a snow painting, because if you think about it, if you're like out in the wilderness, right? Depending on like what the landscape that you're in is like, what's under the snow might be a brown orange like that. Especially if it's a kind of an early snowfall. All right. So when I'm mixing colors, you know, I always kind of look at the properties of the color that I want and where can I get those properties. So I picked the burnt sienna because it's already pretty warm and it's, you know, kind of a brown color. So that's the color I picked for the base. And then we need it to be a little bit more orange, so I picked the Cad Orange, but it also has that intense vibrancy to it that neither of those colors really have, so that's why I picked the Quin Magenta. So let's see. I could be really off on this, but we're gonna try it. All right. I'll mix over here so you can see. I'm going to use a base of the raw sienna, so mostly, or burnt sienna, sorry. Pull some orange into there to, oh, I probably don't want to use that light orange. I probably want to use like Cad Red Medium, I bet. Not too bad. You can tell it's more opaque. And that's because of the orange. And the burnt sienna is a little bit more opaque. Let's try that with Cad Red Medium instead of orange. I have like 8 tubes of Cad Red Medium and I can't find one of them. And I need a little more brown. All right, let's try this one now. I feel like we were pretty close there. So you could try that, Pat, and see if that works for you. So I've got my base of the burnt sienna, pull a little Cad Red Medium into it. That was a bit much. So that it's just much redder. And some quinacridone. I don't know, that's pretty close. My quinacridone was a bit high in there. Pull a little more red. So it's close. Because of the transparency, there's just a vibrancy there that is hard to get from mixing it, but color-wise, it's not too far off. So what do you think? What, if you were going to try and mix it, what colors do you think you might try? Did I lose you guys? I feel like I lost you. Goodbye, everybody. Yeah, pretty close. What's going on here? All right. The candle's dry. Excuse me. Let's get a little bit more of our paint out. We can start working on it again. So I think I will. I feel bad. I feel bad that I disappointed you guys. Hello, Vince. Yeah, you could add a little bit more matte medium to increase the transparency. Absolutely. All right, let's go back into our green burnt orange mixture. And I think I will try and bring some more of the orange back into it. You guys made me sad. All right. There's a little bit of the green in this mixture, but it's, oh, I'm looking on this tiny little spot on my desk. Much more orange to it. And actually, if we're going to use the orange like that, I feel like that works. That's not going to press it flat into the underpainting, because it's still mixed. It's not vibrant like the underpainting. So maybe I like that. And that kind of helps it stand apart from the wall and everything too. And you guys just really can't see that, because it's not as neutral. I'm going to pull a little more green in there for my shadow. Get kind of a chromatic black, just to keep the edges where I want it nice and dark. I want it darker here. Kind of down this back edge. See, I'm just running that chromatic black down the edge there. At the base of our little drippy bit. Why do we want orange? Because it's awesome. So Deb would use Cad Yellow Medium, Quin Magenta, and Burnt Umber. Ooh, that could be close. That could be interesting. Burnt Umber is a little bit of a cooler color than the Burnt Sienna. But, I mean, you've also got the yellow in there, so that could counteract it and kind of shift it a little bit closer to the brighter side. All right. This is the orange with a hint of the green and a little bit of the white. Oh, man, you guys, sorry. Now I am being a little bit more specific. And I'm also, I'm painting while looking at my canvas kind of like this. So I have to look at the screen to see what I'm doing. So if it looks weird, just understand that I can't really see what I'm doing. Oh, I started on another Buddha painting, because after that one that I showed you guys a few weeks ago, a lot of people were begging for a tutorial on that one, and I was like, I put 2 weeks of work into this, so I don't think that's going to happen. So I started working on another one. It's a little bit simpler, but it's still, quite photographic like that one. So hopefully that's one that I can bring you, you know, pretty soon after I come back from break. Does the burnt umber come in transparent and opaque? I don't think burnt umber does. Burnt sienna does in heavy body. So you could get transparent burnt sienna. And stop it, Vince. Now they're going to beg me to see it, and I don't want to show it because it's not. It looks terrible. But yeah, they do make a transparent burnt sienna. This is a really rough looking candle, guys. It's very handmade looking, which I guess is okay. Sometimes candles are handmade, aren't they? Let's bring that drippy bit down a bit. Well, that's not too bad. That's a little bit better, isn't it? Vince will show us. No, he won't.
I'll sell it.
You'll sell it? I'll paint over it before you can. See, this poor candle, you guys, it was so ugly, and in so many ways it is still so ugly. But I'm becoming very happy with it. And if I could actually see what I was doing, it would be even better. Hang on, let me look at it. So I feel like it's a little dark toward the back. What time is it? 2? So we've only been going for an hour. I'm just adding a hint of light toward the back there. Let's add the flame part, the Bernie bit, whatever you want to call it, and then we'll look. Sometimes I can't tell what needs to be changed until I know there's a lot of artists who they'll add the details, the bright parts, at the very end. But sometimes I can't tell if everything is like the value and the color, or, you know, if everything's done as far as I want it to be done until I add the, you know, kind of the detail parts. So let's do that. And I agree. Ugly candles need love too. I can already see something on the table I want to change. Hey, how about we do this again? Let me see. Because I know there's a bunch of you who wanted different things and aren't really into my ugly old drippy candle. Let's do another one. How about we do it on the 5th, so next Saturday. You guys want to do another one of these next Saturday? And those of you who voted for portraits this week, we can do that next week. How does that sound? Yes? Okay. Let's do it. I'm trying to think what color I want to use for the flame. Good, good, good. I think for the flame, because I don't want it to be too out of control, like a bright yellow. I feel like that would really kind of counterbalance everything we have going on here. So let's use the Quin Magenta. No, the Quin Orange, sorry. And I'll use some Cad Yellow Medium. And I think I will use just a hint of Deep Violet. It does have character. Oh, Shannon, you know what? These are the highlights of my month too. I swear. I love hanging out with you guys so much. Okay. just a little tiny bit of Cad Yellow Medium, just to add that bright warmth. I don't want it to be, you know, insanely yellow. Just a hint of it. And a little bit of purple. And I'm going to use white rather than the unbleached or the parchment, because the white will help it be brighter. Hang on, I got to think about fire for a second. I don't do fire real great, you guys. I have to think about it for a second. I might do my fire backwards. If I do, please don't laugh at me. I mean, you can laugh at me. That's fine. Just don't be, like, mean about it. But that's fine if you laugh at me. Alright, I'm mixing a little bit of the orange with the yellow. And some white. Mostly white. Kind of scratch it upward. Let's get a little more yellow in there. And then we'll throw a little purple into the orange. Oh. Let me wash that off. I'm going to get rid of some of that white. It's kind of turning into a flesh color. No meanies. Exactly. We have such an awesome group. Am I bringing any paints? Scamping? Absolutely. I sure am. I think I'm going to take my watercolor and my acrylic. Okay, I mixed both the Quin Orange and the Deep Violet, and I pulled a little bit of yellow into it so we can get Somebody take that bag of potato chips away from Gretchen, please. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of white. Very, very pale color. It's almost just pure white. And I'm just going to kind of scratch in a little hint of it here at the bottom. Look at that. I did this entire painting with this ugly old puffy filbert. Cheese crisps. God, you guys are making me hungry. It's a good thing I have a pizza. We're getting ready to leave, so I begged Vince and cried a sad story about, you know, how busy we were today. And he fell for it. I mean, he believed, he agreed with me, and we got a pizza. So that was great. I'm going to take some of this burnt sienna, raw sienna. I never know what this color is. What is it? What did I say it was? Burnt sienna. I don't know why I can never remember what that color is called. A little burnt sienna and a little bit of black. I just don't want a pure black. But I want it pretty dark. And I'm just going to touch in the wick there a little bit. Shannon, just do it. And just scribble with them. They like it. Trust me. I'm almost done, I think, here. I'm just going to pop some highlights on our candle. I just picked up a little bit of white and a little bit of the Quin Orange. Let's see, like, right in here, kind of behind the flame. Pretty white. That was a little aggressive. I think it's okay. A little bit on the drippy bits. Sometimes I think that also why I like working with a really puffy old brush is because it forces me to give up a little bit of control. Because the brush is going to put paint where I may not have necessarily intended for it to put paint. And it may not put paint where I tried to put paint. So it's sometimes really unpredictable working with these scraggly old brushes. The one last thing I want to do, and then I think we're done, is I feel like I don't have enough shadow on the table here and here, where it's, you know, kind of being blocked from the light by the drips. So I'm mostly picking up Payne's Gray just with a tiny hint of that parchment, just to keep some, oh no, I guess I used unbleached on the table, didn't I? Oh well. I'm going to throw a little black in there. That's just not dark enough. I just picked up a tiny hint of black. Especially right here behind, we'd have a nice amount of shadow there. You know, I'm kind of, I don't know. I think that you guys are more likely to like paintings that I like. That's why you're here. But I think the general population of my subscribers, they don't like darker still lifes. You know, we come in here and we're like, please no flowers. I think the vast majority of my viewers are like, can we paint some flowers? But I also think that that's one of my goals in 2019 is to paint, well, I want to paint a little bit more. So maybe. Thank you. I like it. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. Let's jump over to here. I want to see, I know I missed some of your comments. And then in just a second, I'll hold this up. You can get a better view of it that way. Highlights terrify you? So Cheryl, tell me what about them. Thank you, Kathy. I'm really glad that you guys like that you ended up liking it. Cheryl, tell me, what about highlights scare you? Is it scary to go light? Is that what's scary? No, don't be afraid. Seriously, as soon as you start forcing yourself to just put white on top of black and letting them be white and black, you'll start seeing the value in that. So I encourage you to sit down and do a painting specifically with the intention of really being as overly dramatic with your highlights and shadows as possible. I mean, man, go black in your shadows. Go pure white in your highlights. Do a painting with that specifically in mind. And I think that it will become easier for you really, really quickly. Oh, it jumped. It always jumps. Oh, I love you guys. Eileen, yep. Very good. Start seeing the value in that. Yeah, and we can kind of visit that maybe in some blog posts in the future, like we did with with the exercises, you know, some exercises that are specifically about, you know, pushing yourself to go as dramatic as you need to. Yeah, painting trees and rocks are really good ways to learn that. So here's our little painting all done. I really like the way the fire turned out, except, and it didn't because it was wet, but I might go back over it in a second. It didn't get quite as bright white in the fire as I wanted, but I think I will go back over it. It's pretty dry now. I'm going to put a little pop of white in there, because that fire's not bright enough, and it's my subject. So it needs to be, see, I just went straight up white, right in the middle there. It's just a blob of white, nothing else. More rocks, is that a request? You can paint more rocks. I always like to paint rocks. Deb, your painting is not too timid, but I think we can all, you know, learn to be a little bit more dramatic. Yeah, overall, I'm really happy with this little painting. I kind of like it. I feel like I probably could have pushed my highlights a little farther in the candle, because I went pretty dark in the shadow. So, like, my shadow back here is almost black. I think it's far enough that we could call it black. So really, I could punch some bright white highlights here. That's a good way to think about it. Your highlights can be the exact opposite of how dark your shadow is. So what I mean is, if your darkest area on something is like black, then your lightest area on that something can be white. And that might be a good way to look at it. You know, if you're looking at your painting and you're like, my shadow there is black, but none of your highlights are white, then it's time to, in fact, I'm going to just go ahead and do it. I'm just picking up just white, just a little blob of white, now that I can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to scoot just a hint of pure white, just here and there on my candle. Let that, so like Deb and anyone else who says that they're struggling with, you know, going light enough in their shadows or in their highlights, let that be kind of a starting point for you. Really evaluate your darkest area. If it's black, then your lightest area should be white. It looks better in person, I promise. It just all blends together there. I think I like it better with the white. Let me see. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I won't look at it for a couple of days because now I can't tell what I like. But so far, I like it. I'll set it over here where we can kind of contemplate it. I actually can see a couple things that I would change. But I'm going to let it sit for a little bit without thinking about it. All right, I'll show you guys. I kind of gave up on it. Not because on the Buddha painting that I was telling you about. When I'm working on something like intense, and I'm trying to be, you know, as detailed and, you know, whatever is possible with it, then I tend to work in stages. So like my other Buddha painting that I showed you, did that over several days. And it's because when I would get to a certain point where I had to kind of change gears mentally, then I would stop. I would usually stop for the day, and then the next day I would come back and pick up. And when I was working on this Buddha painting this week, I didn't do that. I kind of worked on it all day long. And when I got to those areas where I have to shift gears, and by shift gears I mean I'm completely changing the technique or the colors or, you know, whatever. I'm making a big change into what I'm doing on the canvas. That's usually where I would stop for the whole day. And I didn't do that while I was working on it. So then I feel like I may have just gotten bored and just didn't care as much. And then things started to go south and I was finally like, ugh, all right, whatever. So when I actually get around to doing this one for a video, I will probably film it over a couple of days just so that I don't hit that point where I'm just done with the painting and over it. Where is it? Do I not have it? I thought it was right there. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So my highlights and everything started getting weird, and I was just done with it and walked away. So, but this is basically what I've been working on for one that we'll do in a video coming up pretty soon. So don't judge me because it looks pretty awful. So, ta-da! And he kind of looks like this eye is like about ready to pop out of his head. I don't know, but anyway, so I will actually do it for reals. So, what else do you guys have? What else do you want to talk about? Anything? Is everybody going to be here for the jams at 4? Stop it, you guys. I appreciate it, but it's not my best. But hopefully the one I do for the video will be better because I will take my time with it. I just didn't take my time with that one. So good. I'm glad that you guys will all be here for jams. That makes me really happy. Think about what you want to talk about then, because, you know, we don't have a video, so it'll be a short one. We can really just kind of chat about whatever you guys want to see in 2019. What is the painting on my easel? That is what I was working on today. So it's nothing to show just yet. It's pretty much what you see is what it is. But I did start recording that today. It's just the background. Hopefully I'll be able to record it, finish it as soon as, excuse me, my throat is so dry. As soon as we get back from camping, I should be able to finish it. Yeah, it won't be on this link because once I stop broadcasting, I can't start again on it. But the link is in the post where you got this link. So, yeah. And we'll be over there in about an hour and a half. And hopefully I won't be choking and dying. I might have to make me another cup of tea before we start. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go before I die and can't come back for jams in an hour and a half. And you guys think about what you want to talk about so we're not sitting here forever just kind of going, so. But I probably am not going to show everybody the Buddha, so I'm probably not going to show it off again today. So don't bring it up, okay? Because I don't want to show it off. Yeah. So I'll see you guys in about an hour and a half. And we will chat and hang out and have some fun for the last time in 2018. I can't even believe it. So, all right, you guys, I will see you in a little bit.